Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's live stream. We are going to be talking about a topic that we get questions about all the time, and that is marketing. How do I stand apart from others? How do I stand apart from the crowd? If there's so many people going after a job op, how can I be the one that the client will laser focus on and say, you are the one that I want to talk to? And I am so excited because I have the one and only Christi Balfour here today. And Christi, you guys probably are familiar with her or have seen her name. She is one of the most active people in our Savvies group. She is so full of knowledge, so full of wisdom, and she just joined the Virtual Savvy team last week, which is pretty awesome. Like, I'm so excited. And we had to do a last minute change today on who was going live with me, and she said, I'll do it, and just raise her hand. And I was just so excited because I'm like, oh, this group needs to hear your wisdom. So I think this worked out just perfectly. Christi, why don't you, before we jump in, we're going to be talking today about how to show value as a virtual assistant. And you've been doing this, you've been marketing your business in the weeds of things and have seen what's worked, what doesn't work, have seen other people and what has worked for them. And so I'm really excited to dive into this today, but I want people to get to know you a little bit because this is the first time that you have been live in front of everybody. And I know it can be a little intimidating. So everyone give Christi some love in the comments, but she'll do great. So tell everybody just a little bit about you. Who are you and what will you be doing here at the Virtual Savvy?
Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. I am the new outreach specialist, and so I'm going to be creating and developing outreach strategies for the Virtual Savvy, including affiliate marketing. And I'm just diving in already, and I'm super excited about it.
We're so excited that you're here. So tell us a little bit. Tell everybody where you're from and where you're going to be from.
Yes.
She's in a transition period.
Yeah, so I'm living in Minnesota right now. We just sold our house and we're moving to Springfield, Missouri.
Hey.
This all happened like it's just the path how this happened is just incredible. We decided to move there to be closer to family and just a lot of other personal reasons, and we're just super stoked about it.
We're so excited. Our Missouri crew is growing, and I'm so excited to get to give you a hug in person soon. So let's do this because everybody, what we're talking about, if you just jumped on, we're going to be talking about tips for showing value first. And it's really how to stand apart in your marketing when you're putting out job proposals, when you are responding to job ops. And so, Christi, like I said, has been growing her own business till we snagged her here at the Virtual Savvy. So I want for you to, talk a little bit about your journey. How did you get started as a virtual assistant, and kind of what has your journey been so far? And then we'll jump into those incredible tips. We were talking over them earlier, and I think this is going to be really, really, really good for everybody listening. So, but let's start kind of with your journey, because I think it helps people to hear, the ups and downs, how you started, why you started, all of that.
Sure. So I come from the corporate world. I've worked in the corporate environment for about 30 years. And when COVID happened and I started working remotely all the time, I was like, okay, I love this. Plus, I had been looking at businesses to start and other things that I wanted to do. And I basically Googled how to, business work from home, that type of thing. And I came across Abby, and I I think I joined the big group first, and I started. I took advantage of some of the free resources there, and then it lit a fire in me that was just like so incredible. And I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. So I bought the course. My anniversary was September 8th, the day after I started at the Virtual Savvy.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Full
Yeah,
circle.
I took the course and while working full time, so I started taking clients about 2 months in November, and I have stayed consistently booked since that time.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I changed when I first started, I thought, well, admin is something that I should gravitate to because that's what I do, most of the time. But then I discovered I have a creative side, and I decided that I really want to do something that brings me joy. So I switched over to branding and strategy there, and it's just been so fulfilling.
Oh, I absolutely love it. So this is great too because you have experience with really marketing with general
Mhm.
admin and marketing with a more specialized service, which is, we teach both for anybody
Yeah.
watching. If you're newer to the Virtual Savvy, we love to have you guys start out with general admin services, especially if you don't know of a niche or you're like, I don't have a specialty yet. Yeah, that's great. Start with general admin because it is such a great way to just get your feet wet, to kind of see, what do I like, what do I not like,
Mhm.
and sometimes you don't know the thing that's going to light you up and get you excited until you just start. And so I love that you did that. You jumped right in even while working another job, and I think that that's just really, really incredible. So let's do this because I know that everybody here has questions about marketing. It is literally the top thing that we get questions about is, how do I market? How do I get clients? How do I stand out, right? And so I'm really excited to pick your brain about this. So one of the things that we teach in the course, and something that you have experience in, and one of the reasons why you were so successful in marketing your business, is because you showed value. You showed value first. So
Mhm.
talk me through that. What does that look like? And for anybody who hasn't, maybe heard this from us before or needs a refresher, what is value first? What is that methodology?
That is standing out above the crowd so that someone will pick you and all the things that you offer as a virtual assistant. Um, I feel like if you just like jump in there and just say, "Hey, I'm applying for this job that you posted. This is what I do. Thank you." It's not going to get you anywhere. I mean, it's not going to get you far. So that to me is just going above and beyond.
I completely agree. And guys, I mean, there's about 90 some of you watching this. I'm gonna shoot you real straight. We shoot you straight here at the Virtual Savvy. So um people don't do this. And it's crazy to me because I will
Mhm.
meet virtual assistants. It took 2 months for you to get your first client, but I know that a lot of that was just setting up your business and everything like that. The marketing section, uh, for a lot of people, will take them a week, 2 weeks, 30 days,
Mhm.
whatever. It can still take a little bit of time, but I meet people who they're like, I've been at this 6 months and I don't have a client. And to me, that's a really big, like flashing light of, okay, well, you're doing something that's not working. And a lot of times I'll talk to these people and some of them won't be marketing at all. They'll say that they're marketing, but they're like, it's all passive marketing. It's like, well, I post to my Facebook page 3 times a week. And it's like, well, have you made any connections? Have you built any relationships? Have you
Right.
gone out and done value first? Have you, like, how many job proposals did you fill out this week? Well, zero. How many did you fill out last week? Zero. Or like, oh, well, I responded to 10 comments, but did you show value first on any of those comments? No, right? And it's like, this is why it's not working. And we will have people. So I'm on the back end too, from like, we have the clients coming in. We have people saying, hey, I need a virtual assistant. I need a niche person. I need a general VA. And they will put a job up in our group. And guys, I'll be honest with you, there are several times that people will say, I had 30, 40 people apply, but only two of them actually showed value first. Only two of them did anything to even try to stand out. Only 2 of them even like said my name in the proposal or looked like they had done any research about my business. Like it's outstanding to me. And it's like, man, I would rather you guys, instead of trying to like put your name out and respond to 20 job ops a day, man, do one and just like kill it. Just go above and beyond. And that's what we're talking about here today, is that above and beyond, which we've coined value first. So I love that. So we've talked a little bit about like what does it mean? What does it mean to show value first? And I think that is just that. Maybe could you give me, before we jump into like your top tips for showing value first, I would love to hear some maybe examples, right? So just really practically doing general admin or with your more niche services, could you give me 1 or 2 examples of how you've done this for different job ops?
Sure. So I wanted to mention the reason why I didn't get a job until 2 months in is because I didn't apply. So I wanted to get a good foundation with the course, but then I hit the marketing course and the value first portion, and it just blew things out of the water. And I was like, okay, I'm ready. So when my very first job op, I got the job, and I feel like the reason why is because I listed my process of how I work. I attached like my portfolio and explained a little bit about the kind of work that I do and how I can help them. And I wanted to mention too that I actually posted 2 job ops myself, just looking for a couple of some help along the way. And when I received the applications, I had specific instructions. And I can tell you, I probably got at least 10 applications in the first 5 minutes.
Wow. It's like you didn't do any work.
No. It's like and you know what? I just discarded them. I didn't read them because I knew there was no way that they could have researched my business, looked at my Facebook page, looked at my website, and figured out enough about me, how they could help me in that amount of time. So it's not a race.
And I've seen time and time again, I know we have a lot of people who are really, they feel discouraged before they even start because they're like, I don't have past experience. This is, I'm going after my very first client. Like, what do I have to offer? But I'm telling you, like, people who are brand new to the business, is your very first job op versus somebody, who has been at their business for a year or 2, but you show value first, even if they have more experience or more skills, I'm telling you, value first normally will win out over the competition if you just take the time. Because again, think of it from the client's perspective. What are they perceiving when you receive a value first proposal? It's, man, this is the kind of person, it shows like character behind it. This is the kind of person who goes above and beyond. This is a person who has enough detail to go in and find things about, like find tidbits about my business and to research me. And they're just a person who's going to be thorough and responsive and professional. And that's exactly what it sounds like you did in your very first pitch, which you got, right? Like, how incredible is that? I bet that was a huge confidence booster.
That was awesome.
That's so cool. Okay. So, and I want you guys too, I'm seeing some really good conversation. I'm seeing some really good conversation in the comments here, and I want you guys asking questions, okay? Because we're going to answer some of those at the very end. So whatever questions that you guys have, go ahead and be dropping them in the comments. But Christi came prepared with 5 tips for showing value first. And so let's just go ahead and start going through those because I think that they're going to be really, really helpful for people, whether you have yet to get your first client or whether maybe you've gotten a client or 2, but you're like really still wanting to up your marketing game. So let's go through each one of those individually. So go for it. Let's hear it. What's the first of the 5 tips for showing value first?
The first one is, it is not a race.
Mm-hmm.
There is no reason to try to be the first one to apply for the job. One thing that I see, I've been a moderator in the Virtual Savvies group for since April, and I've seen a lot, of comments in there. And I'll see a job op that will come through, and someone will say, "Hey, that's me," and that's all that they'll say, or they won't ask any questions trying to get more information, or so I think that's super important to take your time and research the client, and
Yeah.
so that you can add value, because if you don't know anything about them, it's sort of hard to do that.
100%. Yeah. And we always say you don't have to be the first in the gate. You just got to be the best in the gate. Right. And I think that there's so many people that, someone's not going to post a job op and then hire someone in the first 10 or 15 minutes. So you don't need to be stressed about, doing that. I think, now if they say, hey, I'm going to try to choose somebody by this date, obviously don't go past that date. I think it's good to try to do it in the first day or two that the job is posted, if at all possible. But just know, like, it is worth it to put in the time and be one of the people that's near the end of the submissions if you're doing that value first, for sure. I love that.
Yep.
Okay, so what would be next?
Follow the directions.
Yes, it feels like it should go without saying, but you have to say it.
I know it seems so simple, but a lot of people will ask for you to list a specific subject line, and I actually did that when I posted a job op, and I was amazed at the people that didn't do that. I mean, it's just so simple, but that shows potential clients that you have attention to detail.
100%.
Super important.
Yeah. And, and we see a lot of times people are, and this could open up like a whole other can of worms, but, like, I think part of this too is sometimes we will see job opportunities come through and it's like they're looking for a VA, but they're posting it more like it's a W-2 job. And and I just want to remind everybody, like we try to treat those situations with a lot of grace in our group. I think a lot of times these are small business owners that they started a small business a few months ago, and now they're hiring somebody for the first time and they don't fully know. And so I think that teaching somebody with kindness and with grace, if they're asking for things that it's like, well, no, you don't need to know my, like, I don't know, like you're asking me to work from 8 to 2, but this is a contract position. And like, that's, like we can talk about those things and all of that. But I agree as far as whatever they're posting, even if it's like a little bit like, you don't really need to have like a resume submitted, but maybe I'll go ahead and submit my portfolio and have like a kind response of like, hey, here's why I submitted a portfolio instead of a resume and things like that. I think going the extra mile instead of, some of us just tend to get defensive where it's like, oh, they asked for a resume and then oh my goodness, they just don't know the difference, like be kind, people. So it's one of our core values. All right. So what would be your next tip for us?
It would be to make a checklist of some sort, or even a template of something that you want to use every time you email a client where you're applying for a job, and to always touch on something either business wise or personal about them, to show them that you have researched them and that you know a little bit about their business and what makes them tick and what they're looking for.
I love that. So something like, hi, I saw your job opportunity in blank, like wherever, fill it in, wherever you saw it. And I noticed that after some research, I noticed that, and then like leave a big blank of, then, I have to do some research to fill out something personal. We both, we're both from Minnesota. We both went to the same university. We have the same alma mater or whatever. Right. So like, I love that. I love that. And then going in and actually, I mean, even just that, guys, we've even, I know someone in the comments was like, it's hard for me to show value first with general admin. And we get that a lot. But I think something as simple as, following the directions and just putting something personal, like just the fact that you did your research, like that alone can be value first. Now, I think there's things you can do above and beyond that. We talk a lot about Loom videos. If you guys haven't used Loom, Loom, loom.com, just doing a video intro, like nobody's doing that, right? Did anybody do that whenever you put your job out, your job ops out? Do you remember if anyone submitted a Loom video? Like just went above and beyond and submitted a video? Do you know?
Oh, yeah. I'm trying to think.
Maybe like one or two.
Yeah, or did screenshots or a Loom video. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and that's another thing. Some people are like, oh, I don't want to show my face, and it's like, well, I mean, that's okay. I think it's great to show your face. Like, it's okay. You can have pajamas on the bottom. Just do makeup on the top, and then whatever. You don't have to do that. But like, like that's what I do. I'm just like, okay, I'm good from here up. We're fine. And so, but having the, Loom, you can have your video really small or have no video, and still just do like a screen share of like, okay, you're looking for a Pinterest manager. Let's walk through your Pinterest. And you don't even have to have your face on the video, but you could walk through their Pinterest account and say, like, here are the things you're doing really well. Here are some things that I would optimize. Here would be my plan. Like, and I think that level of value first can just go a long, long way.
I didn't start in the beginning. I didn't start with Loom videos, and I started that probably 3 or 4 months ago, and it's huge.
Yeah.
They just
People
really
are wowed by it.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I think sometimes for me, it's easier sometimes to just do a Loom video, like to do like, okay, instead of like, let me type out everything that I would do for your business. Like, let me just turn on the video real quick and walk through it in 3 minutes. And then bam, it's done, as opposed to, and it doesn't have to be perfect, right? Like you could fumble over your words and you're a real person. It's not like it has to be this polished professional video, but I think just that little ounce of going over, again, above and beyond can make a huge difference.
Exactly.
Okay, what do you have next?
Explain your process of how you work.
Okay, yeah, so walk me through that.
So for me, as creating logos and social media graphics, I usually will let them know, okay, this is first, I'm going to sketch out something for you. And then after I sketch this, I'm going to send it to you. I'm going to send you a few fonts, with something I've sketched, if I'm doing a typography or if I'm using elements, that sort of thing. And it gives them a sense of that what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's huge, because you are showing them step by step how you work and what the flow through is and what they can expect from you.
Oh, so good. I hope you guys are like taking notes on this, because even just you walking me through that, okay, here's how I work. First, I'm going to do this. Then I'm going to do this. And, like, imagine that. Like, imagine, everybody listening, imagine you're the client and someone's walking you through and saying that. First, we'll do this. Then we'll do this. You're going to be like, oh, okay, this person knows what they're talking about. So opposed to somebody, well, this is an exaggeration. Hopefully none of you would do this, but they're like, all right, yep, let's do a logo. And then they're like, okay, cool. So like, what kind of logo do you want? Like, how would you like to do this? Like, do you want to pay me up front, or you can pay me after, or like if you don't know what, like if you don't have a step-by-step, boom, here's what I'm doing, boom, 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 it's going to come across less professional. And really having a step-by-step process, even if it's simple, right? Like, you're like, do they really need to know that I'm going to like do an evaluation of their account and I'm going to go through this checklist? Yeah, they do need to know that, right? Because it positions you as an expert, and that's huge.
Yes, because they're reaching out to us because either they don't know how to do it or they don't want to do it. So they're looking to us for guidance. So give it to them.
Yes.
Show them.
For sure. Elise, I love this. Elise said, I went so far with Value First that I've had a potential client that didn't even book me end up recommending me to somebody else. So you never even know the person who says no may lead to what that may lead to down the line. So good, so good. Because again, and I like this too. I've practiced on my friends with limb videos. It's really fun. So great. Yeah, some really good comments here, because it makes you stand apart when you do some of these things that we're talking about here. And you don't know, you just don't know what'll come from it. I've had people, those no's can turn into yeses in lots of different ways. Maybe it's they refer you to somebody else. I've had somebody say no to me because they were going to go with somebody cheaper, and then 3 weeks later say, well, that was a big mistake. I should have gone with you. I'm signing on at your full price, So it's, you gotta trust that process, and know that the value first does work, even if it's a no at first, right? The thing is, even if you're getting a no with value first, it would have been a no anyways. Like, trust me, you're just increasing your chances so much by actually doing these steps. All right, awesome. So explain your process, and then what's your last tip for us?
Always attach something.
Ooh, I like this. So what can we attach?
Your portfolio, screenshots of some work that you've done. If you don't have a portfolio yet, but you have, if you're doing general admin, someone had a question about that, I don't know, like take a screenshot of an Excel spreadsheet you're working on.
Yeah. Or
make up one. If you don't have one yet, make up one with, that you're using for yourself, and use that as an example. I do think a discovery call is important. So I'm not, when I say this, I'm not saying don't do it, but I have gotten a lot of jobs just from powerful emails, and never talked to clients on the phone.
They're just like, oh, I'm already impressed. Let's do this.
Yeah. So
that's amazing.
Yeah. So whether it's a questionnaire, depending on how much information they've already provided, I do have a questionnaire for logos and for graphics that sometimes I'll attach that.
Yeah.
So it just depends.
I really like that. So attach something. And I think it's just, like if you have your template and you're like, don't forget to attach it. Don't make sure you delete that from your email template, right? But don't forget to attach something at the bottom. And then that way you're knowing it's just another step for you to be like, oh, what else could I do? What's an additional way that I could show some upfront value? When I was doing general admin, when I first started, a lot of what I sold was that I would help answer customer service emails. So you're like, how do you do value first with customer service, right? So I literally just went through their their website. I would go through a potential client's website, kind of get to know their business a little bit. And then I'd say, hey, I'm assuming that you get these questions a lot, like for us, what is a virtual assistant? Like, will this really work or whatever, right? And so I went ahead and I would say, hey, I went ahead and wrote 3 emails templates of questions that I assume that you get often, even if they don't get those questions, right? Even if that's like, no, I don't actually get those questions at all, or we already have templates of these, right? Just the fact that you went above and beyond, you did something to make yourself stand apart from the competition is huge.
I love that. Love that.
There's so many different ways to show value first. And if you guys need like examples, like throw your questions in the comments. That's what's great too, is I think that's a good way for our Savvies community, like, hey, I'm thinking about pitching a blogger who does XYZ with this kind of service. Any tips? Like, I want to do YouTube management. What are some good ways to show value first with YouTube management, right? Like, use this community, use the resources that we have right here. Drop your question in the comments and we can even go over those here. So I love it. I hope that you guys enjoyed these tips for showing value first as a virtual assistant, because they really, really do work. And then anything else, just any other advice that you would give to somebody who hasn't landed their first client yet? I know that can be super discouraging for people to be, okay, I've started my business and I still don't have any clients yet. So what would be your advice to those individuals?
Well, number one is give yourself some grace. No, it takes a little time. But the biggest thing is if speaking of value first, I would go back and look at some of the emails that you've sent that you applied for and check those out and say, did I really give value first there? If no, then tweak those for next time. If you have, then I would personally send an email to someone that I applied to and just very nicely say, hey, how you doing? I applied for this job. I know I wasn't selected, but just for feedback purposes, for future reference, could you tell me why?
That's so good.
It doesn't hurt anything to ask, right?
I love that. I absolutely love that. Go straight to the source, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I was in high school, I did speech and debate. I was a speech geek. And, we would record our speeches or our, dramatic performances or whatever we were doing at the time. And I hated it. I did not hate being recorded, but I hated going back and watching my videos because it just was like, I don't know. There's just something about it. Like I just didn't love and I could have done really well, with that piece or whatever. And I hated it because we're often our own worst critics, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I love the fact of like, hey, give yourself some grace, like allow yourself to be a beginner. Know that it often takes 5, 6, 10 no's before you get a yes. It's a numbers game. Like know all of those things, all of that truth, but also like, all right, let's just face the facts here. If I'm not getting clients, let's go to the evidence. Let's see, what am I doing? And just ask the question, what am I doing wrong? And whether that's you're evaluating yourself or asking your client. I love that idea because it works, right? And you'll get better.
Yeah. I mean, we all fumble,
Yep.
So.
Yep. So good. So good. So let's do this. Let's spend a little bit of time doing some Q&A because this has just been absolutely golden. For any of you guys also that have really been struggling with the marketing in particular, I do want to note that we have a free training all about marketing. It's called Become a Booked Out Virtual Assistant. I go through some of my top places for finding clients. We go through how to choose your rates, packages. It's really an awesome introduction, not only to virtual assistants, but to how to market your business. It's totally free. It's on demand. It's about an hour-long training. So if you haven't watched our BBO training, you have to watch it. It's golden. Students have literally gotten clients just by watching the free training. So go check it out. And let's answer some questions. This is good. We're getting some good just advice also. Joyce says, one thing I do is simply listen to the potential clients talk about their business, ask them questions about what they do. From there, you would know what value first to give them. Yeah, I love that.
Absolutely.
And this is good. Kristen is saying, I see so many ways I can add value. This is great. I've known people to even like as they're listening to podcasts, like I've done this too. Like I'll be listening to a podcast and Amy Porterfield, I'm just giving an example. Amy Porterfield will be on there and she'll be talking about different things. And she's like, yeah, and we'd love to really start doing, this is an example. She didn't really say this, but we'd love to start doing YouTube ads soon. Like that's something that we're probably looking to get into in the future. Well, there's an opportunity. Somebody is literally like, people will share their pain points, right? And it's obviously like, this is something we haven't figured out yet. And so now we're going to start doing it or whatever. So I think that people are talking, like people are sharing, whether it's in Facebook groups, whether it's in, and even when a job op is posted, you can click on that person's name and you can see all the other times they've posted in the group too. And I think that can be that's another way to do some research is like somebody just posted a job op. Let's see if they've posted anything else in this group. And you may go back and see that, man, they've posted 5 times about Instagram and now they're finally wanting an Instagram manager. And so like you can go through and like answer some of the questions that they asked before or whatever, right? I think that just there's so many ways to kind of dig around. You get to be like spy for a day, dig around and like do some research and really find, man, what could what are their pain points if they've explicitly said them, or what could they be just based off of some of the information that I'm gathering.
Yes, that's a great tip.
Let's see. Do you have to be certified or have a title in order to be a VA? How would you answer that, Christi?
No.
Absolutely not. So, anybody says that you have to have a certification, it's not true. It's just like starting any other type of independent contracting business. So if you're a web designer or a logo designer or whatever, there's different certificates that you may be able to get that, you can say, hey, I have this, but in no way is it required to be a virtual assistant. So,
which is awesome.
Yes. Oh, this is great. Hey, I'm hoping to hire a VA with an eye for design and experience with Canva. Yeah, so one of the things that you can do, and what we recommend right now for anybody who's potentially looking for a VA, is, I'll type it up here, thevirtualsavvy.com/hire. So this is a free form that we have on our site, and this is where a lot of the job opportunities come from that you guys see. The ones that are on this form go exclusively to our VA Savvies, our Savvy System Group, and our Savvy Vault and Savvy Circle are paid programs. And so it's going to a much smaller number of people, but like people who have been trained. So you can fill that form out. You can also just go to our free community, thevirtualsavvy.com/community. And I do have to put a little plug, because we are actually working on a marketplace where people can come, they can post their job ops, they can sort through freelancers. You guys, as virtual assistants, as freelancers, are going to be able to make beautiful profiles on the site. So it's not done yet. It's just a wait list right now, but we're working on it. The goal is to launch in probably end of February 2022. So if you're not already on the wait list for Hello Savvy, you should be, because you want to be one of the first people to have a profile on that platform. It's going to be really, really remarkable.
Yes, so awesome.
I'm so excited for it. Oh, it's been a long time coming. We've been working on it for so long, but it's the development is happening now, and it's just every day I'm like, oh, this is going to be so exciting. Mel said I haven't tried the Loom video yet. It's on my list. So unique. Yeah. The first one's the hardest. It's really, really intimidating the first time. So I encourage you, the first one you shoot, don't do your face. Like literally, you could write an email and then just like use your voice walking through the email and why you wrote it that way, right? Like you don't have to always show your face, but I do think it helps. I like seeing people's faces, and just I think there's like a connection to somebody when you're face to face in a sense. Oh, this is a good question. Lynette asks, what's the best way to add value if the job op is a type form that doesn't allow for personalization or showing that you've done research? Good question.
I would probably, I don't, Abby may be able to answer this better, but I would still check and put something in my text in the free where you don't have a limit on what you can put.
Yeah.
Add all that information there. You can add a link in there.
Yeah, that's totally what I was going to say. I would say Loom video, where even if they didn't ask for it in a section, be like, by the way, I wanted to add a Loom video just so I could introduce myself more formally to you, right? Yes. And put that in one of the type form spaces. That's what I would do. I mean, you could also, if you follow directions, but then go above and beyond additionally, I don't think that that's bad. So let's say that you follow directions and you do their type form because that's what they ask you to do. But then you also find their email and say, hey, I filled out the type form. Like, I love the process that you had. You're so organized, whatever. But I couldn't not send you this as well. Right. And like, I don't think anybody's going to be like, oh, they didn't do what they were supposed to. It's like, no, I did. I just did something additionally. So.
Yeah, I know that makes it a little harder sometimes. What I have done, I think I've done 2 type forms, and I found their email somewhere else, and I sent in a separate email and say, hey, I filled out your form, but I wanted to mention one more thing.
Yeah.
And get back in the door.
a good way that you can, well, there's tools out there you can use to find emails like Hunter.io and things like that, but you can also but I've done this before, just go to like that person's website, and if they have a freebie, download their freebie, and then like what email is their freebie coming from. Like it may not be like their personal, it may be more of a generic email, but a lot of times people, they set up their email in the very beginning and then they end up have it coming from them personally. And so a lot of times the email that their email freebie comes from, or their email list goes out to, is actually their personal email. So I've done that a lot of times too. I've just gone and signed up for their freebie, which is information that you should probably be doing anyways, right? You should walk through the process. Is their freebie even working right? Like there's a lot that you can learn just by downloading somebody's free thing.
Bingo.
Yeah, so good, so good. Let's see. Yeah, thank you for your ideas on how to show your work, even if you haven't done jobs yet. Of course. I think that's one of the things I love about virtual assistants is that it's such a low barrier to entry. Like you can, like, if you are somewhat tech savvy, right, and you can help people, you have the time to commit to it. Everybody starts somewhere. Everybody has the first client. Everybody starts somewhere, and so I think that, you just gotta get out there and do it. Let's see here. Once you land the client, what little extras do you recommend to go above and beyond? Oh, good question. So, and I'll let you answer this too, Christi. So, I love your thinking here, Eileen, because value first, like showing value doesn't just stop at the proposal. And I think that's kind of what you're getting at here is like, what else can I do? And some people will send thank you gifts, things like send something physical in the mail. I think it kind of depends on what size of client. I mean, if you just landed like a $5,000 a month client, like heck yes, like send them something in the mail. Like there's tons of little like client welcome boxes and things that you can do. Even just a handwritten card can go a long way, I think. You're probably getting their mailing address in your contract, at least you should be. And so you can totally send them like a handwritten letter, something like that. I don't think it's necessary to give them any like free time just signing up for you. Again, you want to do something that doesn't necessarily, you'll get to a point where your time is a lot more valuable than a little bit of money even. And so the cost of sending a thank you card versus giving them a free hour is quite significant, right? So I would, that's my thoughts. Do you have any other thoughts, Christi?
I think along the way, I would send them like an email or message and say, hey, I came across these tips for so-and-so, thought you might be interested in it. It may have nothing to do with what you're doing for them, but it lets them know that, number one, you're keeping in touch and you're looking out for them.
Yeah.
And you're thinking about them.
100%. I love that. This is great too. Lovely says if they have terms and conditions on our privacy page on their website, a lot of times their emails are on there as well. Look at us. See, we're spies. We could do it.
Right.
I love it. Okay, let's see. This is a good question. Tammy says, I work in a super specific niche, indie authors. Ooh, how fun. I hate reaching out to specific authors, asking if they need help, suggestions for building clients through Facebook without paying for Facebook ads. So I'm assuming there's indie author Facebook groups, or even just, I know there's author Facebook groups. So I would do a Facebook group strategy where you're going in, you choose just a few groups, you're showing value first in the groups, whether that's super informational posts, whether that's responding when someone asks a question. I mean, I've hired somebody that way. There was literally one time I asked a question in a group. It was about like Google Analytics. I was like, I don't really know much about Google Analytics. Here's a picture of mine. Are these good? Are these bad? Like, my brain just doesn't think this way. Ha ha ha. This was like years and years and years ago. And somebody responded and they shot 3 Loom videos for me walking through my website. It was like 20 minutes of video. I was like, oh my gosh. And of course, I'm like, who is this person? So I went and I clicked on her name, got to her Facebook page, saw, okay, this is why she's so good at this. This is what she does. I literally was like, let's talk. Like, I want to hire you. I wasn't even looking to pay somebody to do anything with Google Analytics with me, but it was just like, you just blew me away so much that I'm like, I have to hire you. So that was, I think that can be really, really valuable, is doing this value first. Value first doesn't even have to be job ops. It can be the way that you just show up inside of Facebook groups or show up in LinkedIn groups, or the way that you go to a networking event, and then how do you follow up? Can you follow up with your connections with value first, right? Like, it doesn't always have to be just with a job op either.
Right. I know that you're going to do a plug here, but it's so true. The module in the Savvy System course where you talk about Facebook marketing and how to find groups and that sort of thing, that helped me so much. Like, I watched my business change and pivot from that, just applying that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good. I love it. Let's see. How do you use showing value first to get higher paying clients? My current clientele won't go for my higher packages. So yeah, a lot of times the people that you've been serving aren't ready for your higher package, right? And so it takes a different type of marketing. I still think value first works, but I think that it's a mix of that and high-end client targeting. So it's going after people who, who have businesses that could do that, right? And so it kind of depends on what your service is. But let's say, you help people start YouTube channels. So, who are some really like high level people that are doing amazing things, who you respect, that you're like, oh, I know that they have a decently big business because they have, they talk about their team, or they've talked about their launches, or they talk, whatever it may be. Like, so I'm going to put in, even without them saying that they're hiring a YouTube person, like, let me just go ahead and put myself out there and do a high-end pitch to them. And so that is one of the things that we have in the Savvy system as well, is a whole module on how to do high-end client targeting. And it's basically coming up with a dream client list and spending time coming up with a really high value proposal just for them. So that's one of the ways I think that you can kind of find clients for your higher end package. Someone was asking about how do I get started. Yep, there's tons of free resources over the Virtual Savvy. We also have a YouTube channel, so you can just type in Virtual Savvy on YouTube and you'll find a ton of our free resources there as well. Oh, this is a good question. Follow-up question. I belong to 1 million groups. How do you organize and keep track of them all? There's no Facebook function for this. So, and I'd love your thoughts, Christi. I honestly, I would do a purge. Like, not all of those groups are going to be serving you well. I think it's really smart in the beginning to join a ton of groups, join 20, 30 groups, but you're going to find really quickly some of these groups are not interactive, or some of these groups are super spammy, or some of these groups are just not my people. So just the groups that you're not frequenting often, I would just get rid of them because it's just extra clutter. Do you agree? Do you have any thoughts on that?
I mean, everything you just said. I too, like, joined a ton of groups when I first started, and I'm getting, all these notifications, and then I quickly found, okay, this one, all it is people like self promo. They're just like posting their links all day and nothing was happening. So get rid of that one, and so now I really only use about 5.
Yeah.
And it keeps things organized for me.
Yeah, you'll figure out your core groups. Just spend a little time in them, start to feel them out, post a few things. respond to a few people's questions, and you'll start to feel out like, these are my people, and oh, these are not my people pretty quickly. Well, this has been awesome. I want to thank you so much, Christi. Super informational. I hope that you guys all loved it. Give Christi some love in the comments. And I do want to remind you guys that if you want more information on, how to book out your services, how to market, how to set up your virtual assistant business, we do have a free training located right here at thevirtualsavvy.com/BBO. All right. Thank you again, Christi. Have an awesome
Thank
rest of the day.
you.
Bye.